These images that we're painting carry so much power in the messages that they hold, and even a small child gets it.
Welcome to the Inspirational Art Association podcast, a place where artists from around the world share what inspires them with Cindy Lattimore, an art curator and promoter who brings with her 13 years of experience. Settle in, get comfortable, and enjoy the behind-the-scenes exchange with not only world-class artists, but up-and-coming talent as well.
Okay, welcome to this episode of Inspirational Art Association podcast. And today we have Katie Garner. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Welcome, Katie. Katie's been in the show before. In fact, last year, her piece, Millennial Piece, won People's Choice. And it's been a popular piece. And in fact, you sold it at the show, if I remember right. Yes. Yeah. So good. Okay, so Katie is, let me just read a little bit to introduce you to her. She has shown in the Zions Bank Art Show and the Certain Women's Show at Anthony's Fine Art and Antiques. And she's a mother of 7 children. All of them at home except for your oldest. Didn't she just go to college?
That's right. Just barely.
Always a mom. Yeah. So, well, how do you find time to paint with your little ones? Because your younger 2 were quite young.
They are. And they're a huge handful right now. So right now I have older kids playing with said younger kids. They went to the park in the snow. So hopefully they'll stay gone long enough that we can finish our conversation. But you don't know what's going to happen when you're a mom.
Yes. It seems like they know when you're on the phone or yes. I totally get it.
So my youngest 2 are 3 and 4. And they're like twins. They're 16 months apart, but they just kind of do everything together. And then the rest of them are 10 to 18. So we've got a gap there.
Oh, yes. My youngest 2 are 13 months apart. And people always called them twins. They were so close. But yes, you know what? They come when they're supposed to come. And
that's right.
Love it. I enjoy all the seasons of my life. I enjoy being a grandma now. And your kids always need you. You always feel needed. But anyway, so Katie, your piece, Millennial Piece, was in the show last year. And like I said, it took People's Choice. But this painting that's behind you is an original, and you're going to be bringing that this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. So this piece is called Surrender, and it's a depiction of Moses and his mother, Jochebed. And the inspiration for this painting actually came to me through being a mom, and having an experience where, and I've had several of them now, where I wanted to rescue my child from something, or I wanted to be able to step in and control a situation, but I couldn't. And I had all these fears about what might happen. And it was really hard for me to be present with my children because I was so worried about the one that was struggling. And I had this thought come to me, the story of Jochebed, and how she had to put her baby, she had to let go, she had to surrender her baby and just trust God with her baby. She was at a point where she knew that she couldn't save her baby, she couldn't be his protection, and he would be safer if she would let go of him. And through inspiration, built this basket, put him in the basket, and send it down the river, just trusting that God would control the river and that God would take her baby where he needed to go. And so with that thought, I would repeat in my mind every time those fears about my children come up. I still do this, but when I start feeling fear for the future of one of my children, I say in my mind, I put my baby in a basket. God controls the river. And so that's why I painted this, just to remind myself of that process of surrendering that we have to do so often as mothers, because control it. We can't control them, and we have to trust God and trust that He has a plan for them and that He's going to control their river and their path. So that's what this is about.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love this story because I can, like you, we've shared some of our mothering lessons. You know how, you know, that's just an instinct we have is when they come to you with a problem, how can I fix it? You know, and there's sometimes we can't fix it. You know, and all you can do is be there to hold them while they cry and just exercise faith that God prevail. Sometimes that's not as easy as the words sound, but yes, definitely. But so you have been a repeat offender at the JSMB.
A repeat
As a good thing. I did not think of that of myself. We used to. We're not going to do it this year because there's just some things you just have to say no, we can't do that anymore. But we used to, for 14 years, go to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert in Salt Lake. That's how we'd start off our holidays. And but this year, I'm watching my daughter's baby, and so while she's at work, so. But that's one thing they'll say, how many repeat offenders are there in here? And so we like to do that. But no, because of your artwork, because of your personality, and because of the stories behind your artwork, people relate to those. And what are some of the experiences since you've been in the show before that come to mind that you know, are lasting, that have been, because where it's inspirational art is an inspirational story out of every show. I mean, I've been asked about the ones I have personally witnessed, and there's so many of them. But what's the ones you have come away with?
Well, I can tell you the joy of the show is watching people witness the art and just stand there and take it in, because there's something about original artwork in its full size and full color and the energy of the original piece that can be sensed by people. It's so different than looking at a store full of prints. And so many of them will stand in front of a piece and just stare, and many of them will start to cry and will open tell you, you know, how it moves them and what it's causing them to feel. And I've had that experience hundreds and hundreds of times at this show. But the one story that comes to mind actually was, I think it was my second time coming to the show, maybe third, I don't know. But my booth was right in front of Young Sun Kim's. And there was this mother and child that came in, and the child was maybe 5, a little girl. And she looked up at that painting of Christ reaching down into the water that Young Sun Kim has. You know, he has a few versions of it, but he's reaching down into the water. And the little girl goes, "Mom, that's Jesus." And then she goes, "Mom, why is Jesus reaching down into the water?" And she's like, and then she goes, "Oh, I get it. He's saving us." And that was, she walked away, "Oh, Jesus saves us." And it was just the sweetest moment, because these symbols that we're painting, these images that we're painting, carry so much power in the messages that they hold. And even a small child gets it, you know, and it's as simple as that, but it can also be deep and as rich and full as we want to make it, as we ponder about the symbolisms and the truths that we know. But it can be very simple and just pierce you right in the heart very quickly. So
it does, and it's so inspiring to me to watch little children come and look at different pieces and make a comment of how it touches them, and it's wow. You know, you think those kids are deep thinkers when it comes to the art.
Yeah.
When they're exposed to it. I know one of the things that it seems like I get one compliment every single year. Thank you for having a show where we can have our children come and understand and appreciate art. Yeah.
There's so many teaching moments that I see with parents and children as they come through and they get to stop and talk about it.
Yes. I know there was one year, I think it's the year before COVID. So 2019, because we didn't have it 2020. But where I had young son Kim had one of his big pieces out in the foyer and he mixed up the actual paints that he painted that piece on. No, you know what? I think it's the you weren't able to. I think you were having a baby.
I had a baby 2019. That was the that was it.
But we had it enlarged, and young son Kim was there. And even though he has to have an interpreter, he was able to mix up the same paints he used on a couple of those pieces. And little kids were able to come and they could paint on that. And one of the pieces was, I don't remember the title of it, but it had a lamb in it, and how little kids would paint like a heart on the lamb, and just different things to see their impression of what he already had started. And,
Wow.
And it didn't matter. There was no rules. We were confident that there wouldn't be anything wrong with it, but it was very touching. And then what we did after that is gave the painting to the Christmas box house in Ogden. So it's
wow.
Yeah, so it was more than, it wasn't original, a copy original, but it's original from the different children that came in those couple of evenings, and actually got to paint with a big name artist.
That's so cool.
So it was very touching. So with the show just a few weeks from now, and last year we had the piano guys, and then can't remember the year before. I think it was we've had Kenneth Cope, we've had different people opening night, but their stories of inspiration comes through their music or whatever brought their talents to focus. What brought you to be an artist? Have you always had that dream, or it just kind of from having kids and needed an out?
Yeah, I always loved art. For as long as I can remember, I had a sketchbook, and for Christmas, my mom would get me art supplies, and now getting art supplies always feels like Christmas to me, but it was my favorite thing. Open a new sketchbook and some new paints or something, watercolors or whatever. But the first time that I ever oil painted was my senior year of high school. And of course, you're thinking at that point what you want to be when you grow up, what do you want to major in? And that's when I decided that I would like to do art. And I got one semester into an art major before I got married when I was 19. So I got my associates, and I got one semester into an art major before I had my first baby, and I stopped school. So I never finished that. And I always knew I had it in me, and I wanted to do this, and I was just waiting for my kids to be old enough. And I, for some reason, thought that they would all have to be out of the house before I could start painting. But one time when I had 5 children at the time, and I thought that I was done. Thought I was gonna only have 5 children. And so my youngest was 3 at the time. And through a series of events, I felt impressed to start painting. And I thought, is that okay? Do I have permission to paint right now? Because I didn't think I could, and so I prayed about it. And the answer I received was, not only yes, but I need you to be serious about it now. And I was like, hallelujah, this is the best prompting I've ever received in my life. I started painting right away. And that fall, just within a few months, I was helping Linda Curley Christensen on and I've never stopped, even though I've had 2 more babies. I felt impressed to keep going. And I feel like being in the trenches of the full spectrum of motherhood, from babies to teenagers to adults, has helped me with my art. That's my inspiration. And so I'm grateful that I'm able to paint while I'm in these moments. So.
Well, and I'm a believer. Maybe it's because the older I get, I'm having a little bit more wisdom. But even the older I get, I am just as busy now as I was when I had 5 kids around my ankles, but I'm a believer. You put the Lord first, and He helps you find that time.
Yeah,
it's the first thing. If the days that I'm not saying that I'm spiritual or perfect or anything like that, but I do know personally, if I don't put the Lord first, at the end of the day, I'm like, what happened here? And, oh, I did not, I became a little selfish in my day. But I think we're giving these talents, and if we don't use them, they're taken away. And you definitely do have a wonderful gift and a very much a favorite at the art show. And
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful that you are one of my friends at the art show, and I delight in making it fun for you artists so that you enjoy coming, and bring that special gift to touch those that do come, because every year we get repeaters that actually know that the art show is every Wednesday through Saturday after Thanksgiving, no matter what. And so we keep it consistent that way. But this year, we'll be hanging out in just a few weeks. November 30th is opening night, where we have Jenny Oaks Baker and Alex Boyer going to be entertaining us, talking. Yes, I always feel so lucky when I just don't know how these things fall in my lap, but yes. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday open to the public at the Joseph Smith Memorial Building from 10 in the morning till 9 at night. And we're on the mezzanine, and just off of there where we can out the windows see all the construction.
The great thing about this show especially is that almost all of the artists are there all day long. So if you come, you're going to meet a whole bunch of these artists and get to ask them questions and see who it was that created these pieces and have that interaction, which makes it very special.
Yes, very much so. That's what makes it so unique. And the artists like to talk about their stuff. I mean, how it became, what was inspiring, and they're amazed at the different amount of people that need that. They need to hear those stories. And especially if they've had heartbreak. Oh, well, I'm not the only one that's had heartbreak, this certain piece. Or like last year when Stephen Sharp Nelson talks about his struggles growing up and how his father found that cello to calm that kid down, and look at how he blesses people now. I mean, all over the world. And so it's
our weaknesses into strengths.
exactly. That's what we're told, that will happen. We just need to, sometimes it's that little struggle just to get over that cliff and let him take you to new heights. So, well, thank you, Katie. I'm so grateful that we were able to connect today, and look forward to seeing what you bring to the art show this year. And all right.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.